Make sure you download the Woodward Sports app in the App Store and the Google Play Store today. Take Woodward Sports with you wherever you go and listen live on your phone or mobile device.
Oh my God. Good morning, Detroit. Good morning, Stick. Good morning, Fish. Good morning, Jeff. Good morning, everybody here at Feldman Chevrolet of Novi. Good morning, all you beautiful people in the WoodwardSports.com chat. I hope you're all having as great as a morning, really, as I am. I don't think you are. I don't think it's possible. I don't think you could be having the kind of morning I am. Oh, goodness me. What's up, Jeff? Good morning, buddy.
Good morning. I know this reminds me of a specific victory. You beat the Giants on the road, but no, it gets even better. You blow out the Jags from start to finish. There's
the who?
Complete domination. Duval. It was complete domination. Dan Campbell coached circles around Doug Peterson.
I don't even want to talk. I think I just want to smoke today.
And it
What
was
do you
great.
guys think?
It was great. It was
All
great.
right. What a weekend. What a weekend for Michigan sports in general. Michigan win their second consecutive Big Ten championship. Now, if you listen to ESPN, apparently they went undefeated back-to-back years, but that's a whole different thing. And then, of course, your Detroit Lions. Wow. We talked about – this is crazy to me. 2 weeks ago, they were coming off arguably their most impressive win of the season, heading into Buffalo, right? They go play Buffalo, and they give them a game.
They do.
And that's a game you probably should win. Not only win, you shouldn't lose the way you did, but for coaching reasons, things happen, we move on. You have now won 4 of your last 5 games. And the most recent win, Jeff, 40-14 against a team, let's put it in perspective here, that's the litmus test.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that in a bad way. 4-7, 4-7. Both teams were picking 1 and 2. Right, they're in the early to mid stage of a rebuild. They have talent, but they're not complete. But if you were to ask me before the game who was the more complete team, it's obviously the Detroit Lions. And really because of the offense.
Yeah.
The offensive line, Amon-Ra St. Brown, the wide receivers they do have, they're not the best, but they're weapons. And you have obviously a legitimate receiver in Amon-Ra. Swift being healthy, Williams, a goal line back. But
you could argue for the coaching advantage at least. Super Bowl winning
sure,
Doug Peterson.
Doug Peterson, the more experienced coach,
right.
But you know, not only the winning coach, but the coach who has just done really a complete 360 over the last 5 weeks. Dan Campbell, the Detroit Lions, 4-1, and we date back to that 1-6 start.
Yep. Confidence
is low. Not happy with the team, and I'll speak for myself. Not happy at all with coaching. Not happy at all with the team performance. And then what happens? I don't want to say they simplified the game, but they stopped making the same mistakes they always make.
Right.
And when they started doing that, suddenly they started winning. And then it was they beat Green Bay. And then it was they beat Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
And then the wins kept stacking and stacking. And then you lose a tough game to Buffalo, a team that's clearly better than you, but you played them very well. And then you just go out and smack Jacksonville. This football team right now is playing their best football. And they've been playing their best football for 5 consecutive weeks. Impressed. So impressed. Hey, you know what? Fuck it. Fuck it. Even Ryan from Feldman's going to get on in the action. Let's go. Let's go.
Gotta love it. But to your point, Adam, you play a close game against the Bills, and if anything, yes, you could argue they should have won that. I think I'd give more credit for Dan for being in that game. But what does that do moving forward? The Jags have an emotional victory over the Ravens. They win at the last second, 2-point conversion. The Lions playing that game they did against the Bills, and then facing the Jags. It's like, hey, we played the Bills, a Super Bowl contending team, at home. You almost beat them. You followed up against the Jags, and you're like, oh, they're not the Bills. And not only are they not the Bills, they completely obliterated them. And we talk about second half adjustments. The Lions played a complete game first quarter to the end of the game. They scored in every single quarter, which is something we brought up multiple times this year. So, again, I mean, Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn, Dan Campbell, Jared Goff, DeAndre. There's honestly so much credit to go around here.
So good to see Swift.
Yes.
Get more touches than what he has been. Whether he's getting healthier or not is irrelevant to me right now. He looked good. He looked like Swift back in week 2 against Washington.
Yes.
And Jared Goff. Jared Goff looked like the quarterback you saw the first 3-4 weeks of the season.
That was easily his best game of the season.
3-4 games into the year, even though the record was 1-3, I think everybody in the room, in the chat, you could acknowledge, hey, Jared Goff looks pretty damn good in this offense. Hey, you know what? Maybe we need to reconsider the idea of drafting a quarterback. And really, that's what today's show is going to be about. We're going to go through the list. Just how impressive the Lions and Jared Goff and the offense were. 8:30, we'll get to Michigan and their Big Ten championship game. We'll go to the college football playoff preview at 8:45. Top of the hour, we'll do a little State of the Union. We have to have a presidential talk today about where the Lions are 5 games removed from being 1-6.
Right.
We have to have that conversation. Second hour, of course, Ben Johnson, his future with the Detroit Lions. What to do with Jared Goff? Should the Lions even consider drafting a quarterback with inspirational play like this? And that's the key word, Jeff, inspirational. Wins not only are what fix everything in the NFL, but it is performances like the Lions have been giving, Jeff, over the last 5 weeks that inspire confidence in the future. Yep. You know me, I've been very, very hard on Dan Campbell. You know I like him a lot. And when I mean I like him, I love the attitude. I love the persona. That's all great. I hate the coaching decisions at times, right? Last 5 weeks, outside of Buffalo, cleanest football I've seen coached in Detroit in a long time.
Absolutely.
Not committing penalties, winning the turnover battle. God, yesterday they didn't let Buffalo. They didn't let Jacksonville breathe. Think about it this way. They did not punt, Jeff. They went and scored on every possession. They did not take their foot off the gas, even up at halftime. Even coming out in the third quarter, they went and scored. They never gave Jacksonville a glimmer of hope. And I love it. I love it. Mm-hmm. That is a great shirt. Fish, you need to wear that. This is how you inspire confidence and change. This is how when you tell me, hey, Dan Campbell is the future head coach. Hey, Adam, this guy's the guy. He's going to get it done. It's performances like that get me to buy in.
Right.
I don't buy in at 1-6 when you're making the same mistakes as year one.
Right.
But you will get me to buy in coaching and playing the way they have. And they deserve nothing but credit, Jeff. They really do. Jared Goff, I would say the best game of the season. Mm-hmm. He didn't turn the ball over. He was clean. Very, what's the word I want to use here? He was very clinical in his decision-making. And what I mean by that is he didn't hesitate with any of his throws.
No.
He didn't hesitate. Chark had his best game. St. Brown, what do you know, looking like a top 12, 15 wide receiver all over again.
That throw to DJ Chark at the beginning of the game.
That was money. And that was the confidence he needed coming off of Buffalo. Fair?
Yeah. Fair.
It was so impressive. So impressive. This team, you would have told me the Lions would manhandle Jacksonville 40-14. My goodness. James Houston, another sack. Aiden Hutchinson, half a sack. Trayvon Walker. Jared Goff put the shakes on him, almost broke his ankles, for God's sake. It was without giving too much, because the job's not over. Season's not over.
Right.
There are still games. There are still narratives to play for. They're heading in the right direction right now. These last 5 weeks have me feeling, and I haven't, you know where I was before the season. I thought this was a very good football team. When I say very good, I'm not saying a division winner, but I thought this was a team that would give fits to anybody on their schedule. I was confident in them. And they had that 1-6 start. And I don't think I've been more confident since maybe early August in this football team and in the direction they're going. And I talked to you about culture and how the only way to truly build culture, Jeff, isn't just by getting everybody to like you. You got to win.
Got to win.
And boy, Jeff, they're doing a lot of winning right now.
Mm-hmm. And they're putting together complete performances. That was the thing we talked about earlier in the season, is whether your offense doesn't show up, your defense shows up, or vice versa. The last 5 weeks, they've been stringing along these complete performances, and that's something that, again, you got to give credit to Dan Campbell to. Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn, they're aligned, and both sides of the ball are playing some of their best all year. So it was great to see. And the fact that they settled for those field goals at times and not trying to be aggressive and playing the long game, even they kicked field goals, 0 punts. They were great on third down. Can't ask for nothing better. Oh, here comes Hookah Smoke. But no, you couldn't. It was a great performance, man. Jared Goff, they put the ball in his hands for a majority of the game, 31 of 41, almost 400 yards, 350 yards, 2 touchdowns. Yeah, you couldn't ask for anything better. Defensively, these guys stepped up, man. Okudah had a great game as well. So plenty of credit to go around.
They played They played a complete 60 minutes.
Yeah.
And you've seen it multiple times now under this head coach, something you didn't even see under the Jim Caldwell teams.
Mm-hmm.
The Jim Caldwell teams were known notoriously for fourth quarter comebacks, late field goals by Matt Prater. That was the Jim Caldwell era. Dan Campbell's teams are putting their foot on the gas early, and they're not letting up, especially the last 5 weeks. And again, all I asked for this season was 7 to 8 wins. That is it. Not only will they likely get it, they may clear it. And I don't think they win out. That is quite the statement.
But did you hear?
But the way they're playing, why should I doubt them?
And did you hear Dan after the game? This is what I loved in the locker room. He goes, in a 6-game season, we're 1-0. We're 1-0. And I love that you take the 6 games and you put them in a sample size. And he's like, we're 1-0. Let's get the next one. And I love that. Not looking too far back, looking ahead. 6 games, they're 1-0. Now go beat Minnesota at home. That's the next task. And we'll see. Minnesota's a damn good football team. But got to enjoy it, man. It was huge.
Enjoy your victory Monday, Detroit.
No
that
question.
Is such a good victory. And again, litmus test. That was a Jacksonville team roughly, well, not roughly. They were in the same position you were last year.
Yeah.
They sucked. They had a top 2 pick, just like you do. They were number 1 overall. You were number 2. They went out and spent in free agency. You really did your work in the draft. You didn't really have much cap space. And now over next year and the year after, your cap space situation is going to be a lot better. And with inspirational play like yesterday, you can get me to buy in when you win. You don't get to call for patience. You don't get to tell me I need to buy in at 1-6. You go out and win games. Oh, this makes my job so easy. Makes my job so easy. I'm loving it. I'm loving the way this team is playing. Running the ball effectively. I love the use of Justin Jackson, by the way. I want to say 2 drops yesterday. Not his best day, but more DeAndre Swift. I like it. You see how much more dynamic this offense is. Amon-Ra St. Brown continues to show you can't guard him.
Nobody.
Okay, he started the year off on a tear, just like he ended last season. You know what he did, Jeff? Got hurt. Messed up his ankle. Fake concussion. When I say fake concussion, I mean they ruled him out of the game in Dallas. That was a whole thing. And he slowly worked his way back. And over the last 3 weeks, you're seeing, I don't like using this word lightly, but you're seeing wide receiver 1 right now.
Yeah.
You are seeing a legitimate wide receiver 1. I don't want to hear talks of he's undersized. I don't want to hear it.
No.
It's the new NFL. He's a wide receiver 1 in this offense.
I'm going to go one step further. I think you can make a legitimate argument for Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's a top 10 wide receiver. In terms of receptions, production. Think about the games.
Production he is.
But think about he got injured. If he didn't get injured in those performances, listen, what did he miss, a game? And then he had the concussion. He left the game early. If he was healthy all year, he's already, top 12 in yards, top 10 in touchdowns. He would be top 10 in everything. So, certainly.
Exceptional
Amon-Ra
day.
St.
11
Brown,
catches, 2 touchdowns.
He's exceptional. 1 drop.
Oh, by the way, look, we do need to take a break. And you know what? I'll save it for after the break. I have a special announcement from the from my household. We had some special news over the weekend. Some interesting things played out, and we weren't expecting it. So we're going to get to that in just a bit. But before we go, Jeff, our good friends over at Cintron.
Well, guys, Cintron is the official energy drink of the Red Wings. Cintron has combined all 3 of their delicious flavors into a limited edition 6-pack sampler box. Try Cintron's great tasting cranberry, classic, or sugar-free, all in 1 pack. Pre-order your Cintron 6-pack sampler box today at cintronworld.com/Red Wings.
Love Woodward Sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on Shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Beverly Hills Golf, Woodward Golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids, all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today.
What's a winter wonderland if you can't shop, eat, and play? Lucky for you, you can do it all at the Downtown Detroit Markets, Cadillac Lodge, and the new winter version of the Monroe Street Midway, all located just across the street from Campus Martius Park. Find the fun at deckedoutdetroit.com.
Hi, I'm John from Better Rate Mortgage, and to me, family is more than blood. That's why I have the biggest family in Metro Detroit. If you're looking to buy a house or refinance and need a loan, come get treated better than family by me and our entire team here at Better Rate Mortgage. We pride ourselves on giving you better advice, better service, and a better loan experience. That's why we are Better Rate. If you're looking for a new mortgage, come get treated like family. Actually, better with Better Rate Mortgage. Visit us at mybetterrate.com or call at 248-480-4467 today.
Winning is a habit. So is listening daily to Woodward Sports. We're glad you're a winner, and thanks for listening.
Oh, yeah, look at Kyle. Look at this guy. Down 38 pounds. So happy for him. Just like Ryan Romani's been down 17, 18 pounds officially as of Friday. So happy for him. Dr. Jason and the great people over at Custom Health Centers have done an exceptional job. Let them help you in a safe way. Call 844-789-8446. That's 844-789-8446. And now time for the big announcement. This is a big one for me. I've been waiting a long time to say this. We clinched playoffs, bitch. Oh, man, Mustard, what happened, buddy? Oh, God, you were projected to win. You players went off. Travis Kelce did nothing for me, and I beat you? Oh, no. I know I fooled a lot of you in the chat. You probably thought my wife was pregnant. No, we're not there yet. But we clinched playoffs in my big money league. I'm feeling great. It's officially done. We are the number 5 seed with implications to be the 4th seed officially next week. I can't wait. Oh, God.
You're in the dance.
Yeah.
You're in the dance.
One day I'll make the dad announcement. One day. Not now. Having said that, good morning, Detroit. Oh, God. I am very, very, very thrilled to be with all of you this morning. Jeff, you as well. Jared Goff. And this offense, and not only Jared Goff, Ben Johnson.
Yeah.
Jeff, we campaigned for Ben a long, long time ago. Late October, early November of last season, the conversation was, this is the guy to promote. This is the right guy.
Right.
You don't let quality walk out of your building. And if you want to show that, hey, you are different as an organization, you find ways to not only keep those guys, but you promote. And to the Lions' credit, Sheila, management, Campbell, Holmes. They spotted him. They saw what they had in him. And they didn't go out and interview 5, 6, 7 veteran OCs. They trusted their guns. And they have been paid in full so far with the top 10 offense in yards, top 10 offense in scoring. It's been quite the season. And that's top 10 with 2 games where you got almost shut out against Dallas and New England. Nothing short of impressive. This offense has been unbelievable. Jared Goff, in my opinion, his best game as a Detroit Lion. Jeff, where do the superlatives start? The way they use Amon-Ra St. Brown, the running backs out of the backfield, Jamal Williams in 3rd and short situations, Jamal Williams at the goal line. It is becoming more and more clear to me that they have got the offensive side of the ball figured out, and Jameson Williams will only add to that.
Yeah, no question. And on top of that, we could talk about Jared Goff and how well he's played this season. Amon-Ra St. Brown talked about how comfortable Jared is. I mean, he's top 10 in touchdowns right now. He's 7th in passing yards. He's 7th in QBR. And this kind of proves the point we made about Jared is Jared your franchise quarterback? No. But can you win games with Jared Goff? Yes. And over the last 5 games, that should have proven that. I mean, even earlier in the year, you talk about this defense and how well the defense has been playing lately ever since you fired Aubrey Pleasant. If you had this defense performing this way earlier in the season, you might even have a couple more wins. So to speak about Jared Goff in this offense, this is an offense that's top 7 right now in the NFL. I know points per game, they're up there as well. Jared Goff's at the helm of that. And it really just proves, it echoes what we've been saying about Jared is he's a bridge quarterback, but this season, Jared, talk about turnovers. He's cleaned that up for the most part. I know he's thrown pick sixes early in the season, but this last stretch of games, he's playing some of the better football, really, of his career. He looks the most comfortable, and with the weapons he has currently, I know Jameson will be back. He's going to get more and more involved, but to have the weapons around him, even without T.J. Hockenson, you trade T.J. early in the year, Jared Goff's playing some of the best football in quite some time. So it's good for Jared, and it also puts the Lions in a position where do you need to draft a quarterback? I know it's ideal, and I made the case multiple times. Yes, you want to eventually address that. You got to draft a quarterback. But for Jared, he can kind of delay this process a little bit.
Well, that's what you wanted.
Yes, of
that's
course.
What you
that
wanted
was the whole
before
point
the
of
year.
trading for him. Yes.
That was what you wanted. You wanted him to be a bridge quarterback, and that is not an insult, guys.
Yeah,
I told you, best case scenario, if he could deliver 60% of what Alex Smith delivered from the time they had him till they drafted Mahomes, sat him for a year, that this would be an excellent trade regardless of the draft picks.
Right.
And early on in the year, again, we always have to but let's level things off a little bit. Is Jared Goff 30 of 40 or 31 of 41 on every single Sunday or consistently on Sundays?
He's
no,
gonna
he's
fluctuate.
not.
Yeah,
is he going to throw for 300-plus yards every Sunday? No, he's not. You don't want him to, but he is capable of it.
Yes.
He's also capable of the dud games. That's why he's not a franchise quarterback. Having said that, though, play like Sunday from Jared Goff makes it more clear in my mind that your first 3 picks in the NFL draft will be on the defensive side of the ball.
Mm-hmm.
I have no doubts. The Lions will not take a quarterback with that top pick from the Rams sitting at number 3 right now, and they will likely not take it with whether it's at 13, 15, 17. We'll see where the pick ends at the end of the season.
Right.
But that will not happen. That will not happen, Jeff. Performances like Sunday inspire confidence in him as the guy moving forward.
Yes.
And him as the guy moving forward doesn't mean you have to renegotiate his contract. You've got him locked up for a few more seasons after this year. There is no rush. And I would much rather have Jared Goff right now at $25, $30 million a year than Kyler Murray at 50 plus,
Yeah.
than Lamar Jackson at 50 plus. I would much rather have his contract. And the only way I'd ever be willing to move off of Jared Goff is if it was for, of course, the quarterback rookie contract, which with play like Sunday gives Brad Holmes the flexibility to say, you know what? I'll get my quarterback one day.
Right.
And when the time is right, or when I fall in love, I will move heaven and earth to make sure I get it done. Having said that, I do think if I give this team a top 20, a top 21, top 18 would be nice. A top 18 defense.
Oh, yeah.
This is a team that's not only a guaranteed wildcard spot next year. They are division contenders. Year 3 under Dan Campbell with this roster.
Look at Kirk Cousins, what they're doing in Minnesota. See, people get so offended by bridge quarterback. You can look at Jimmy G with the 49ers. They made a Super Bowl. You look at with the Minnesota Vikings, we'll see what they can do, but they're winning games with Kirk Cousins. You can win games with a bridge quarterback. It's not a disrespectful thing to call Jared a bridge quarterback. That's just the reality. He's playing great this season, but with Jared, you see those ups and downs performances. But again, for Jared Goff, it really does take the pressure off Brad Holmes and the Detroit Lions in terms of finding their franchise quarterback. You can wait a little bit. You can draft all defensive players. You can build a roster around Jared Goff because, like you said earlier, $30 million to be paying Jared Goff that type of money, where the market's going for quarterbacks, that's actually on the middle end.
Jared Goff's
of
contract
what guys
right
are being
now
paid.
is amazing compared to what's being thrown around in the NFL now.
You're paying a quarterback who's top 10 statistically $30 million compared to, like you said, Kyler Murray, $50 million. He has better stats than Kyler. So again, Jared's having a hell of a year, but I'm not going to sit up here and say Jared Goff's the franchise guy moving forward, but he's someone you can keep. I mean, Jared Goff made a Super Bowl. I hate bringing that up. I really do, but it's the facts. You can win with Jared.
No, there's nothing wrong with bringing it up as long as you put it in context.
Yes.
Jared Goff made the Super Bowl. Yes, he did.
Also
yes,
put up
he
3
did.
points, but yeah.
Well, no. I don't mean I don't mean it that way. I don't mean this in a bad way, actually.
Right, right.
He did it with a complementary offense.
Yep.
That could run the ball. They had effective pass options. Brandon Cooks, Cooper Kupp. They had good tight ends. Okay, I'm not saying this offense is near the level of the Rams, but it's pretty damn close production-wise.
And you're getting good offensive coaching.
You're
from
getting
Ben
a lot of
Johnson.
great coaching from Ben Johnson right now in the offense and Dan Campbell.
Yes.
So now what is Jared Goff missing, though, for you to unlock the key? And I don't want to talk Super Bowl. You got to do one thing at a time with me. You want to earn my trust? One step at a time. Not only the playoff hunt, but contend for the division, win the division. Let's start there first, right? Let's take that step, and then we have the conversation. But what is Jared Goff missing, everybody? A defense. A defense that over the last 5 weeks has looked like a decent defense, sometimes even above average. And what do you know? What is the record over the last 5 weeks? Now that the defense has figured its stuff out.
4-1.
They're 4-1. Surprise, surprise. You're winning games with Jared Goff. He's playing well. He's not turning the ball over. You're not asking him to drop back 50 times a game, trying to win you a game you know he can't. Your defense isn't putting you down 14-21 in the hole. Oh, yeah, I like this a lot more. Oh, you're running the ball very effectively. I like this a lot more. Defense is forcing turnovers. I like this a lot more. They're getting off the field on third down. I like this a lot more. The last 5 games are a much more honest... The last 5 games are a much more fair and honest reflection of this team going into the season than 1-6. Because at 1-6, we all agreed they were better than their record. What was holding them back? Coaching decisions. Over the last 5 weeks, outside of Buffalo, have we had to talk about coaching decisions? And was that the right move? And that was too aggressive? And 4th and 9 at your own 37-yard line? No. You haven't had to deal with it. And you know what Dan did yesterday, too? How many field goals they kicked, Jeff?
Quite a lot.
They kicked 4.
Yeah.
That's nice. You didn't let Jacksonville breathe. You didn't give them a sigh or any sign of hope. You know what? We'll take the 49-yard field goal here. We'll take the 37-yarder. We'll take the 48-yarder. No problem. Hey, Jacksonville, we just scored again. Go answer. Not, we went for it and we were aggressive and we didn't get any points and then they went down and scored. No, none of that. No nonsense football coaching from Dan Campbell over the last 5 weeks, and he's done an excellent job. Yeah,
2 things. One, yes, you're correct, coaching decisions, but also, like you said earlier, it's the defense. And the defense has been playing even better. You could argue since the firing of Aubrey Pleasant, and whether he made that big of an impact or not, players responded. The secondary responded. The secondary, honestly, skill position-wise, they had a hell of a game yesterday. I mean, Christian Kirk had 100 yards, but besides that, overall, the secondary, Jeff Okudah, Will Harris, and someone who got a lot of criticism last week, that play he missed on Stephon Diggs. Secondary's been improving. James Houston, 2 games. He's only had a handful of snaps. He has 3 sacks. So James Houston's another one. Brad Holmes, I mean, God bless you for the talent he's been able to find. But, yeah, I mean, defensively, and you're right, from a coaching perspective, both those things have been better. The offense we've known has been great all year. That's been the difference.
Well, let's do this. Let's take a quick pause. When we get back, Michigan win 13 games for the first time in program history. An unbelievable feat accomplished by the Wolverines on Saturday, beating down Purdue in the Big Ten Championship game. We'll get to that, our thoughts on the season. I want to talk about Jim Harbaugh a little bit. I think he deserves a lot of flowers this morning.
He does.
We'll do all that and more, but before we do, Jeff, our good friends over at Guardian Alarm.
Well, we talk about the Lions' defense and how well they've been playing over the last couple games. Well, Guardian Alarm's always playing well. They're solid, they're reliable, and they can protect you while you're inside just enjoying and giving you peace of mind while you can relax. And it'll give you 24/7 protection. If you call 1-800-STAY OUT, let them know your friends at Woodward Sports sent you.
It's back. Year 3 of Woodward Sports Stuff a Studio is here. The past 2 years, we've collected new unwrapped toys and stuffed our studio so we could hardly fit in it. This year, we're doing it even bigger. Join Woodward Sports and our whole family December 19th to the 23rd as we stuff our studio. While you're out shopping or just sitting on your couch ordering presents, make sure you grab one extra and drop it off at our studio, 15 Mile in Woodward in Birmingham. We'll be collecting toys around the clock to make sure every child in Mott's Children's Hospital feels the warmth of the holiday season. It's the time of year to do for others. Help us stuff our studio. Special thanks to all the wonderful elves at Meyer and Guardian Alarm for keeping the toys safe. Stuff a Studio 2022 with Woodward Sports.
Introducing the Planet Fitness Guide to getting that post-workout glow. Step 1, what's your why? More epic energy, better sleep, blow off steam? Step 2, join Planet Fitness for just $10 a month and get moving in our clean and spacious clubs. Step 3, bask in that post-workout glow. Join Planet Fitness today for just $10 a month.
Join today at any of the 50-plus Detroit area locations.
It's a great day to get some Centron in your life. Okay. There it is. Centron, here we go. Gotta grab the cranberry. Oh wait, it's 2 for $4. Gotta double up with the classic as well. Centron World, baby. Centron, available at select Krogers, and if you wanna know how, go to @CentronWorld.com. You get dope like me. You know what? Why wait? Great taste, guaranteed.
The only sports network in Detroit that starts with a W. You know, because we win. Woodward Sports, Detroit's winning sports network.
Jeff Iafrate here. Let me tell you about our friends at Moneyball Sportswear, because it is your one-stop shop. Whether you want the latest look in athletic apparel or you need new uniforms for your team, Moneyball has it all. Stop in Moneyball showroom in Southfield and experience the only way to ball, or visit moneyballsportswear.com. Moneyball, the only way to ball. We are back here on the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network, and Adham Beydoun's getting his hookah all situated for the celebratory victory Monday. The Detroit Lions whoop that ass. Completely spanked the Jacksonville Jaguars 40-14. But we're going to talk about Michigan, because Michigan,
they look good.
They look good, Fish. No question about it. I know the first half, it was closer, and that's kind of been Michigan's MO, their second half adjustments. And my goodness, their second half, again, another dominant second half. Donovan Edwards, J.J. McCarthy, guys stepped up. That defense, by the way, in the second half, Jesse Minter, it's cooking with gas.
Michigan have been nothing short of exceptional all year. They are the best team in the Big Ten. They've proved it. They have proven that they are one of the two best teams in the country, given their, obviously, college football playoff ranking. 13-0, first time in Michigan's program history. They've won 13 games, and before we get into how they beat Purdue or, TCU coming up and what that matchup looks like, can we just take a minute to really acknowledge the job Jim Harbaugh's done? I know it was brutal the first 6 years. So many tough losses. The muffed punt. Whether it was Ohio State kicking your
Trouble
asses.
with the snap.
Trouble with the snap. You had so many things that were just so demoralizing. And then COVID happened, and you were 2-4, and, would Will Johnson, would Donovan Edwards, would J.J. McCarthy decommit? They didn't. And then you go into last year. Get rid of Don Brown. Insert McDonald. Young coordinators, young assistants, and they've somehow, some way, turned that into their first season beating Ohio State. They win the Big Ten for the first time under Jim Harbaugh, the first time since 2004, and then they follow it up with your 5-star quarterback starting, and somehow, some way, magically, the next year you're 13-0, and you are one of the favorites to win it all, and you are in the national championship conversation more than you were last year. Last year you felt good to be there. It's like, whew, monkey off the back, beat Ohio State, made a college football playoff appearance. And now this year, guys, the expectation is you should not only get to the Natty, you should be in that game regardless of who you play. That is how good your football team is right now. And the job Jim Harbaugh has done from day one up until now to finally see it through, to use J.J. McCarthy's quote, job not finished, right? They do have their sights on a Natty, but what a hire. And I don't mean to sound hindsight 2020. I don't, but I think you can all agree with me on this. There wasn't a better hire for the University of Michigan than Jim Harbaugh. I think we all know that deep down. And we all knew it deep down even prior to last season and all the success. You knew deep down this was the guy for the job, because if not Jim, who? If not Jim Harbaugh, who could deliver the goods? With a program that historically never really delivered the goods since 1980. Few really good teams.
Yep.
Rose Bowl appearances, Big Ten championships, sure, but outside of 97, a lot of talk and not much substance. And if it wasn't for Jim, who would it be? And he's delivered. And now it's back-to-back Big Ten championships. And if they get to the Natty, and dare I say they win it, not only are, quote, Michigan back, however you guys want to phrase it this morning, Michigan have ample ammunition to go out and recruit with anybody in the country. Anybody. And yes, including the SEC. Yes, including Alabama. You go win a national championship, rewrite the landscape of college football. And I just wanted to take a few seconds to say, Jim Harbaugh, not just job well done, you turned this program into something they hadn't been maybe outside of a few years in the last 30, 40 years. So kudos to him, his coaching staff, the players that believed in him, the Michigan fans look, I know you had your tough times with Jim. I know a lot of you wanted him fired probably, but I guess that is the life of a fan. But at the end of the day, Jim delivered, and he delivered the goods.
And I'm going to be honest with you. Do you agree with me? And I said this 2 weeks ago. I was talking to Braylon, and I think Jesse Minter deserves a Broyles Award.
Oh, yeah.
I think he's well deserving.
He's easily the best assistant in the country.
No question. And again, that speaks to what you said about Jim Harbaugh and his ability to identify assistants. Last year, you get Josh Gaddis, Broyles Award winner. You get Jesse Minter. Who's going to replace Mike McDonald? Jesse Minter. And you talk about their second half adjustments. They outscored Purdue 29-9 in the second half. And again, the first half, 14-13. It's one of those halves for Michigan, similar to Ohio State, where it's close. And then the second half is just a completely different ballgame. And that's coaching, right? How do you make adjustments? And defensively, they've been able to make those adjustments even without. What was the narrative coming into this year? What are you going to do without Adham? What are you going to do without Ajabo? And Braylon made this point on our Jeff and Gentry show. We had him on a week ago. And he's like, well, no one knew about Ajabo and Hutchinson before the season. And now you're seeing players from Michigan shine this season, especially in the secondary. I mean, can we give some credit here to can we give some credit here? 2 interceptions against Purdue, by the way.
5-star recruit.
The freshman. I mean, that is another part of this, right? This part of this equation that Michigan deserves even more credit. And moving forward, I'm going to be honest with you, Adam, and we talked about this as well. Looking at the field for college football, Georgia, I think, match up with them the best. But even in that situation,
I don't think Michigan are scared of Georgia.
No, they're not.
I don't know why they should be. Michigan are, again, in theory, just as physical. They're very similar to Georgia. Now, are they as proven?
No.
Are they as battle-tested? Maybe not. Maybe not.
No.
Fair.
Yes.
But I love Michigan's chances the rest of the way. What they were able to prove in Columbus was not only a statement win, it was a statement of intent.
Yeah.
It wasn't, we're just happy to be here. Let's beat Ohio State. That was last year. No. Eyes on the prize. We actually believe in this room we can win a national championship. And they are playing like it, Jeff.
Mm-hmm.
So impressed with what Jim Harbaugh has done. And you know what? I want to talk about the kid. I want to talk about the 5-star recruit that I was told was turnover prone.
6 touchdowns last 2 games.
I was told he was turnover prone. I was told that he couldn't win the big games. Yeah. I was told he doesn't have the composure or the leadership of Cade McNamara. This team has so much more swag with this kid at quarterback.
Oh, no question.
This team embodies their quarterback. And we saw it against Ohio State. You looked across the field. You looked at C.J. Stroud. That whole sideline reflected their quarterback. Unsure, frustrated, flabbergasted. You look to the Michigan sideline. Swag, confidence, smiling. That's what Michigan are under J.J. McCarthy. They're such a damn good football team. And they beat Purdue, and I know it's Purdue. They were 8-4 going into the game, but they beat Purdue, and they did it the easiest way possible. Hand the ball off to Donovan Edwards. No problem. Make some big throws downfield. No problem. J.J. didn't have to use his legs.
No, he didn't.
J.J. didn't even throw for 200 yards. So he's able to bring you a game management type performance, and on top of it, when you need him in the horseshoe, he delivers.
Yeah.
This was everything you could have dreamed of before the season for J.J. McCarthy, Jeff.
Yeah, and remember the conversation before the season was, well, he's going to be more reckless than Cade, right? Well, can we talk about the fact that J.J. so far in the season only has, 3 interceptions? So, again,
turnover prone.
Barely turns the ball over. Has a better arm than Cade. He brings a new side to this offense that they didn't have with Cade. So, again, J.J. and the decision to start J.J. this year has made the difference. And for a team that has that confidence with J.J. at quarterback, it changes the swagger of this team heading into either a Georgia matchup or a possible Ohio State matchup if they beat TCU, which I think they will.
Let's throw this poll up in the WoodwardSports.com chat, okay? Who do you want to see in the final? And I am assuming, yes, you beat TCU. I am not overlooking them, but I am going to assume your style of play overwhelms them. Having said that, Alex, who would Michigan rather see in the college football championship? Ohio State or Georgia?
And you heard JJ's answer. He's like, please, let's get Ohio State again.
But at this point, I personally don't care who, because I can draw up a hell of a narrative for either one.
Yeah.
Revenge against Georgia. prove to the world, prove to college football, prove to all the recruits that the Big Ten, not only the Big Ten, but Michigan can stand up to the SEC and the best that they have to offer, and that they could beat a 14-0 Georgia. And then I can flip side it and say, hey, you beat Ohio State twice, you have bragging rights for 25 years if you beat them in a national championship game.
Yeah, the biggest game.
You beat them in the horseshoe and in the championship game. Please, Ohio State and all of Columbus can feel your nuts.
But you
for the
also,
next
on the
20
flip
years.
side, you lose to Ohio State in the national championship game.
Yeah, I don't see it.
Okay,
I don't see it.
Okay, but and that's another question too. Is I'm curious to see if Jackson Smith-Njigba plays, because that's got to be the worst hamstring injury I've ever witnessed in my entire life.
I don't know what's going on. I don't want to comment on Smith and Jimbo because I just don't know enough about what the hell's going on with his hamstring. I've seen Keenan Allen struggle for 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks, so he's kind of on schedule. He should be able to make the college football playoff. If he doesn't, I would be concerned, but I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to leave it there with Michigan. Shout out to all you Wolverines. Congratulations to all of you. Congratulations to Jim Harbaugh and the team he's built. Never giving up.
Yeah.
And, again, it's much easier to preach patience with Jim Harbaugh when he's winning 9, 10 games every single year, coming up a game short at the end of the year to an Ohio State team that, yeah, they were just better than Michigan most years. They got a bad spot that one year. That was unfortunate, but now it's Michigan's turn to run the conference.
Right.
And I'm so confident in what they're doing. Let's take a quick break. When we get back, let's talk about the college football playoff. We'll get to the poll. Who would you rather see, Georgia or Ohio State? What's on the line, narrative-wise, going into the college football semifinals? But before we go, Jeff, our good friends over at Big Boy.
Well, let me tell you about them, because for a limited time only, all new burgers and loaded fries are at Big Boy. It's not just a Slim Jim, it's the Big Jim, the chili cheeseburger, as well as the bacon blue. But you can also upgrade those fries, chili cheese fries, baked potato fries, and nacho fries. You could satisfy those taste buds at Big Boy.
Love Woodward Sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on Shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Beverly Hills Golf, Woodward Golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids, all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today.
Fellas, let's be honest. We like things to be easy. We like simple stuff, like sports 7 days a week. We like things uncomplicated, like Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. Open 10 to 8, 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. Sign in, sit down, watch your favorite team play, and before you know it, your hair will be game ready. Open 10 to 8, 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. It's wicked awesome.
Get a shot up. This is for the win. All of Detroit's sports teams live on Woodward. All of Detroit's sports coverage lives on Woodward Sports. Driving the best in Detroit sports coverage.
Jeff Iafrate here. Let me tell you about our friends at Chili Peppers Tanning, because it is where you'll find all the cleanest salons in the D with spotless, sanitized rooms and trained and certified tanning professionals. Join the Pepper Club for all the best deals. They'll beat all competitors by $5. ChiliPeppersTanning.com. Hottest bulbs, hottest deals, darkest tans. Your Vitamin D headquarters. 27 locations and more on the way.
Chili Peppers Tan?
Fish, what do you got on?
I have a shirt that I was given. It's actually bigger than my ass size, shockingly. It's a triple
settled
XL.
Is that like
the
a
field.
2XL? Is it?
It's 3.
I love it.
Triple.
Who's got the honor of wearing it? Is there an Ohio State fan that works here?
Probably.
What's his name? Silas? Is he here today or no? He hasn't shown up since the loss.
He's been MIA.
All right, if he's in today, do you mind if I give him a ton of shit? All right. I love it. I love it. That's what's going to happen. Can't wait. Silas, we're waiting for you, buddy. We are live, woodwardsports.com, out here at Feldman Chevrolet out in Novi. Whew.
You guys missed some great soccer games yesterday.
You know, nobody gives a shit about soccer, all right?
They should.
Please.
They should.
Just mute your mic and wear the shirt, all right? And
Well, then-
unmute everyone else's mics,
You
okay?
guys will
That's
miss
the job here
every-
today.
You guys will miss
Do
everything.
your job, as Bill Belichick would say. Do your job, mute the mic, and let's move on.
As soon as the U.S. lost, the interest.
We're not talking about soccer.
It's
The U.S.
over.
looked like a bunch
over.
of middle schoolers playing against the Netherlands. They had the first touch of a whale. They had
Okay.
no finishing, no class,
You obviously didn't watch
no
the game
substance.
then.
I did watch the game. I watched them botch all their opportunities, and I watched the guy go around the keeper with the first touch of a rhinoceros. So, yeah, the U.S. has a problem. They don't have a number 9.
Yeah.
And they don't have a clear way of playing from behind. So I don't want to talk about the U.S. We'll talk about them in 2026. The last time I'm going to acknowledge them. Having said that, let's go to the poll. We asked all of you, who would you rather see if you were Michigan in the college football playoffs, in the championship game? 58% of you have said Georgia. I agree with the sentiment.
Yeah, me too.
I don't think there's a wrong answer, but I am leaning more so Georgia. I think it does more for you. Granted, winning a natty, regardless of who you play, is program changing. But
beat the defending champs.
Beat the defending champs, to beat an SEC team, a team that's clearly atop the SEC over the last few years.
Top of college football. I mean, yeah, no question.
That is the statement performance. And again, I can always harp back on this. Ohio State got in. And I think you had to make the case they did get in. And, Jesse, I did see your comment about Lincoln Riley and USC. Yes, you were right. And it is historically proven that Lincoln Riley defenses are soft. That is true. But for Lincoln Riley to go 11-2 year one, on the brink of a college football playoff appearance with a team last year that was 4-8,
that's pretty impressive.
I don't know many coaches that would do that. Actually, I do. None. Only him. Only he would be able to go to a program year one that was in shambles and turn it around and make him an 11-win team. So you're right. They lost. They didn't make the college football playoff, but they exceeded expectations from day one. The fact that they were in the championship game ahead of Oregon, ahead of all these teams. Washington emerged. Oregon State emerged as a good team this year.
Right.
USC, I'm not doubting that higher not even 1%. If anything, I'm more thrilled and bought into what USC are doing. But, Jeff, Ohio State get in. Mm-hmm. I think rightfully so. They deserve to get in. And the committee did the right thing. They kept TCU at 3. Did you have an issue with it?
No, I didn't. I think TCU, even regardless, this is before the game, knowing if they lost or won, whatever happens, they should not have dropped out of the top 4. Now, USC, yes, of course. You lose to Utah twice this season, and the fashion in which they lost made sense. Ohio State, out of the field, has the best resume. I mean, they have the best loss. You lost to the number 2 team. You beat Notre Dame. You beat Penn State. And what made me laugh is watching Nick Saban go on national television and pitch his case for Alabama. And that was the biggest thing that frustrated me going on Twitter after following the Michigan game, is seeing all the people advocating for Alabama to be in the college football playoff over at TCU. And I think TCU gets disrespected in a way of looking at their resume. Like, I think the big thing for TCU is they don't have the biggest name brand in college football, but if you look at the resume and what they've been able to do all season, all the ranked wins they have, no question TCU deserves to be in there. And Ohio State, looking at the loss they have, I mean, it just made sense. It really did. So I have no problem with the top 4. I think it makes sense. This is how it should be. And it's kind of like what Georgia did with Alabama last year. They lose in the SEC championship, and you're asking yourself, are you going to see these two teams face off the first playoff game? No, they make it so Michigan and Ohio State, if they both win, they're going to have a rematch in the national championship game, which is great for ratings. So no problem with it whatsoever.
Fair enough.
I just would have had an issue slightly if you would have saw Michigan, Ohio State. If Michigan and Ohio State were 2 and 3 and TCU was 4, then I'd probably be a little more frustrated. But I'm okay with it.
You know who's trending right now on Twitter?
Who?
Not only Michigan, but Marcus Aurelius, and I think that is such a perfect thing to happen this morning. I think everybody needs some stoicism in their life right now.
Right.
I think all of you need to wake up and understand this was arguably one of the most satisfying weekends in Michigan sports in a long time. To put the stamp on a 12-win season, win the Big Ten championship, your first time ever winning 13 games, you have entered that national powerhouse conversation. Now, you need to still deliver. You need to beat TCU. And that's really what I want to talk about right now, Jeff, is TCU aren't a slouch team. They are the best of the Big 12. I know it's easy to say Michigan should dominate them up front, and Michigan will probably have their way against this team, but TCU give up a ton of points. But they can also dish it out.
They can score a ton of points.
So, again, we're going to see this Jesse Minter defense on display again. Can they slow down TCU? And if they hold TCU to 23, 24 points, well, I think Michigan are going to win this comfortably because Michigan likely will put up 35, 38, 42. So this Michigan team really has no holes in it right now. Ronnie Bell had his best game of the year, in my opinion, against Purdue.
Yep.
And by the way, completely sidetrack on this. I apologize. But Curtis Jones from Purdue, that's an NFL wide receiver. That kid's going to play on Sundays.
Charlie Jones?
Or excuse me, Charlie Jones.
Yes.
I apologize. Not Curtis. Charlie Jones. Thank you so much.
They were calling him Cooper Kupp on the broadcast.
You know what? He played like it.
Yeah, he was open every single
like
time.
It.
Yeah.
Boy, he can run routes. He is a student of the game.
Right.
With how he runs his routes. So very, very impressed with what he did. But, Jeff, that's the conversation now. Can this defense deliver again? And they've delivered 13 consecutive games. I have no more doubts.
Right.
But now it's the college football playoff semifinal stage, right? This is the big moment. And I think Michigan will be ready to answer the bell in a few weeks from now.
Yeah, Charlie Jones, a.k.a. Chuck Sizzle, is what Gus Johnson was calling him.
Is that what he called him?
Yeah.
Jesus.
But you're absolutely correct. I think TCU, and looking at the performance too, Max Duggan, he's a legitimate Heisman candidate. What he did with his legs as well, Michigan's going to have a lot on their hands. But, again, I think you made a great point. This is where Jesse Minter, my Burroughs Award winner, this is an opportunity for him to shine, right? Your freshman, Will Johnson, these are opportunities for these guys to shine. Michigan's defense, specifically their secondary, is going to have their hands full with Quentin Johnson. I mean, talk about NFL wide receiver. Quentin Johnson's been an issue all year for opposing defenses, but no question, I think Michigan's the more physical team. I think they shouldn't have too much of an issue with TCU, but again, don't sleep on TCU. They've been in a lot of close games. Max Duggan, he's put on fantastic
These teams
performances.
have a lot of similarities.
They do, for the most
TCU,
part. But Michigan, I could argue, is more of a complete team on both sides.
But TCU, in their right, in their own respect, dominated their conference. So did Michigan.
Sure.
These are two teams that deserve to be there. I'm glad that committee got it right. I think the only thing that really bothered me with the standings, and we did this live on the Lions pregame show on Sunday, was I didn't like the respect Alabama got and Tennessee. And I know Kansas State will play Alabama, so we'll get to see it on the field then. But if you were going to move Bama to 5, Kansas State should have moved up to 6, Utah should have moved up to 7, and USC could sit there at 8. Yep. And then you could talk to me about Tennessee at 9. But for Tennessee to be rewarded for doing nothing over number 10 Kansas State that beat USC, who were ranked 4th, Kansas State who beat number 3 TCU,
yes.
And then 11 Utah that beat number 4 USC. I don't get the committee.
I don't either.
And I don't know, again, if you're a supporter of Michigan, you probably won't have this issue with a 12-team playoff because you'll likely get in regardless if you have one loss. But I'm scratching my head here, Jeff. What is the criteria? I still don't understand it. And I can understand moving Saban up one spot and giving him 5. That's fine, whatever. He bitched about it on TV, whatever. I'll get over it. But not to move Kansas State, not to move Utah up over Tennessee.
Huge win.
And they're their conference champions? What? You can't tell me the games matter and then they don't. And then we got to take everything into consideration. Are you taking into consideration Tennessee don't have Hendon Hooker?
Right.
That is the one part that bothered me, but it's irrelevant because Michigan and TCU were seated correctly, as were Georgia and Ohio State. So let's get back on track. Lions talk coming up. 9 o'clock, State of the Union. Just a few minutes. We'll take a quick break. When we get back, Jeff and I are going to deliver the State of the Union. The Detroit Lions are what heading into Week 14? Are they on track? Are they ahead of schedule? Are they the team you thought they would be? Are they still a team you doubt? I have my thoughts. Jeff has his. We'll have that conversation in just a bit. But before we do, Jeff, our good friends over at Swiss Insurance.
With the holiday season here, Swiss Insurance wants to remind you to insure all of your gifts, including jewelry or collectibles. In the last 2 weeks, Swiss has saved its clients on an average of 26% on their insurance premiums while increasing coverage. That's a lot of money to free up for the giving season. Merry Christmas from Swiss Insurance and Go Blue.
It's back. Year 3 of Woodward Sports Stuff-A Studio is here. The past 2 years, we've collected new unwrapped toys and stuffed our studio so we could hardly fit in it. This year, we're doing it even bigger. Join Woodward Sports and our whole family December 19th to the 23rd as we stuff our studio. While you're out shopping or just sitting on your couch ordering presents, make sure you grab one extra and drop it off at our studio, 15 Mile in Woodward in Birmingham. We'll be collecting toys around the clock to make sure every child in Mott's Children's Hospital feels the warmth of the holiday season. It's the time of year to do for others. Help us stuff our studio. Special thanks to all the wonderful elves at Meyer and Guardian Alarm for keeping the toys safe. Stuff a Studio 2022 with Woodward Sports.
By now you know me, Christina Gennari, as the obvious choice in real estate. And you know my website, soldchristina.com, as your #1 resource for buying or selling your home. Myself, along with my amazing staff, pride ourselves on making your home buying and selling experience a relaxing and easy one. Come see why we are the obvious choice. Christina Gennari at soldchristina.com, the obvious choice in real estate.
Have an opinion? Make sure it's seen and heard. Corner, jumper. Tweet us, hop on the YouTube chat, slide in the DMS at Woodward Sports on all social media.
Downtown Detroit is all decked out this holiday season with the return of the Cadillac Lodge and the Monroe Street Midway. The Midway has a giant slide, winter bumper cars, and an indoor arcade. Plus, you can grab drinks and eat before the lodge after the games. Shop, eat, and play downtown all winter long with Bedrock Detroit. All right. Before we start with the lines, I gotta do a little thing. All right. There's an individual that works here at Feldman Chevrolet of Novi. His name is Silas. He hasn't shown up to work since Ohio State lost to Michigan.
It's tough.
So we're gonna give him a call real quick, and we'll see how this goes. This was last year. Oh, poor guy.
Poor
guy.
He's getting beat up on every year.
Is he going to answer?
Come on, Silas. Answer your phone.
Hey, what are the chances he answers?
You better. Come on, Silas. You're better than that.
You should leave a voicemail.
Take the L, buddy.
Oh, yeah, he looks miserable.
Hi, is this Silas?
Yes.
Hi, this is Adham from the Ohio State Suicide Prevention Hotline. How are you today? This is Adham from the Ohio State Suicide Prevention Hotline. We're just calling and checking on you. You didn't show up to work today, so everybody here at Feldman's really concerned about your health. He hung up. Oh, God. I'm going to hell for that one. Top of the hour here on the Morning Woodward Show. Oh, God. All right, Jeff, let's have some fun. State of the Union here for the Lions.
My man just wants to sleep.
I'm either going to hell or somebody's going to arrest me for that. The Detroit Lions are what, Jeff, heading into Week 14, and this is where I'm at.
Yeah.
As frustrated as I was with 1-6, as frustrating as it was to watch a team who we all knew was better than their record, going into Week 14, the Lions are on track. They're not there. Job's not finished. Thank you, Stick. It's not over. The season has not concluded. The final story hasn't been written. But at the end of the day, the Lions are on track.
Yeah.
And whether you have them winning 7, 8, 9, 10 games, they are on track. And the last 5 weeks have shown you Dan Campbell can coach in the NFL. And what I mean by that is there's a certain way to win in this league. And if you want to be Brandon Staley and you want to be gung-ho and going for it every week, and you'll keep losing. But when you take your field goals, when you be disciplined, when you can have fewer penalties, when you can win the turnover battle, that is a recipe for success. And at the end of the day, going into Week 14, I'm not only confident heading into next year, I am actually as optimistic as I was before the season now. I am back on track. And not because they're going to make the playoffs or they might finish with a winning record. That's all irrelevant to me. The coach has shown me 2 things. He knows how to lose games. He knows how to win. It's frustrating. I'm not happy about the record. They are still 5-7. But over the last 5 weeks, I can even admit all the positives you point to me about Dan Campbell, he has shown them. And I have to at least respect it. I think that's where most of you should be this morning. Now, if some of you are even further than that and you're all in and you're ready, that's fine. I think we all handle ourselves a bit differently. But where I'm at, Jeff, is preseason, I thought this would be a very difficult team to play against. I thought 7 at a minimum was a guarantee. And I thought 8, 9, 10 wouldn't surprise me. 1-6 start, coaching decisions, awful timely plays, fourth down questionable decision-making, game management, clock management. And now, since that, it's been cleaned up a lot. And you saw it come back in Buffalo.
Right.
Not ideal, but they responded with a win. And if you want to use the SOL terms, which I hate, same old Lions lose to Jacksonville. But I will not give you the other way around. This still isn't out of the clear. Because to get rid of same old Lions, guys, that requires division titles. That requires playoff appearances, playoff wins. You don't get to expunge history because of a 4-game winning streak in a season where you're 5-7. Or, 4 wins in 5 games in a season where you're 5-7. Excuse me, guys. So that's where I'm at. I'm a lot more comfortable with this coach. And again, I don't mind being aggressive, but don't be arrogant. He's coached really well the last 5 weeks, outside of the mistake in Buffalo. Outside of that one mistake, he's coached really well, and I have to give him his flowers for it.
Yeah, I would say damn near perfect, besides the Buffalo game. But to your point, I put Detroit Lions are heading in the right direction, heading into Week 14. So we're on the same track here. I picked 8 and 9 before the season, and yes, after the 1-6 start, there wasn't a ton of optimism. But what have you seen over the last 5 weeks is what this team could be. And again, they're getting healthier. The schedule's gotten easier. Again, the team, for the most part, defensively, they've responded. They've played better. Things are clicking on all cylinders, offensively and defensively. Special teams, you finally got a kicker, a consistent kicker in Badgley. So a lot to look forward to. And the Lions, what we've seen over the last 5 weeks is what we've been asking for, what we thought we'd see early in the season. Now, you didn't get it then, but better late than never. And the Lions to end the season definitely gives plenty of Lions fans more optimism heading into next year. Next year, you have 2 first-round picks. You have multiple picks in the top 70. You're going to be able to address a lot of those holes. You're going to have money in free agency. Next season, those expectations of contending for the division, possibly even winning the division, those are realistic expectations. So that's why they're heading in the right direction, because they really are. From a coaching perspective, players getting better, Jared Goff playing some of his better football of his career. So plenty of optimism. And again, for the coaching staff, Aaron Glenn, someone who got a lot of heat early in the season, people telling me he should be fired. I never got to that point. Love AG, and you've seen the adjustments he's been able to make so far. But Ben Johnson, another stud.
Jeff.
He's been consistent for the most part. I know some...
Go out to the West Coast. Go out to the West Coast. Who's 5-7 right now? Who started 1-6?
Oh, the Raiders. Yeah.
Raiders are 5-7.
Mm-hmm.
They've put together 4 or 5.
Finally clicking.
Anybody calling for Josh McDaniels anymore? I haven't. That talk has settled on. Why? You're winning.
Right.
There are very few coaches. Actually, let me take that back. I don't want to lie to any of you. There are no coaches that are first-time hires that get, quote, the benefit of the doubt. There are none. And you know what? To Campbell's credit, again, last year, remember Arizona? We had our show. The season was over. They had won the game. And I nudged you, and you really not only agreed with it, but you actually expanded on it way better. I told you, hey, that's repeatable, what they did against Arizona.
Right.
Now, they have a ways to go. They have to build their team still, but I can see how they played against Arizona repeating itself next year.
You saw the blueprint.
And then we went into the draft. And then you went into all the conversations in the offseason, free agency, what would happen, who would be this, who would be that, what the offense would look like, top 10, Ben Johnson, right? Could the defense be middle of the pack? Maybe not. Could it be top 24? That would be enough. Okay, cool. You start the year totally away from your core foundation. And in the last 5 weeks, you have reverted back to what we discussed as, quote, repeatable performances. Right. And they've done it 5 weeks in a row now. And I know they lost against Buffalo, but that was a damn good performance still at the end of the day. It was,
yes.
As frustrating, again, as the decisions are, the performances are now consistent. It's now a consistent football team. And you want to talk to me about where the Jags are at and where the Lions are at? Boy, the Lions looked like a 7-4 team yesterday, and the Jaguars looked like the 4-7 team. The Lions looked like, oh, Jacksonville's coming to town. Let's take care of business and focus on what's more important. That's what it looked like. That's how it played out. And if there's one thing I do want to bring up, which brings joy to my heart, And excuse me, I don't know your name in the Woodward Sports chat, so I apologize. I do want to give you credit for it, but I can't find your name right now. Dan Campbell's progression is understanding that. Instead of having 21 points yesterday, you had 33. 4 field goals. Those 12 points are 2 possessions.
Yeah.
You need to understand the value of taking points. And even early on, Doug Peterson at the goal. Why did they take field goals? Because they know instead of keeping it a 3-possession game, they could keep it at a 2-possession game, and maybe they could make a stop, go and score, and then there's a game, right?
Right.
You have to play conventional football sometimes. There's nothing wrong with that. We don't need Mr. Innovation, 4th down every time, go for it. What you need to do is put your players in a position to succeed, and that's what they've been doing the last 5 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And I would be a liar. I would be a complete liar not to sit up here and acknowledge that, not to sit up here and say it has been better. And that 4 of the last 5, yeah, I can see this working now. Why? Because they're doing what they did last year in Arizona on a consistent basis now. Defense is playing better. They're running the ball effectively. The offense continues to put out points and yards at a ridiculous pace, a pace that is even beyond, quote, their potential. Who wouldn't be happy? Who wouldn't acknowledge that? So that's where I'm at this morning. That's the state of the team, in my opinion, Jeff.
Yeah, because that was the biggest thing with Dan Campbell's. Players don't quit on him. They're going to be competitive. And for a long period of time, yeah, they were competitive, but they couldn't close these games. They had a terrible record even this season in close games. And what you've seen over the last 5 weeks is not only have they kept it close at them, they found ways to finish. They found ways to score in the second half. They found ways to play better in the second half. Coming out of halftime, how do you make adjustments? And this team has shown you over the last 5 weeks, they've been able to make adjustments, and they've played better down the stretch. So, again, plenty of credit to go around, but Dan Campbell, he's done a hell of a job over the last couple of weeks. I know there's spots where you can criticize him, but for the most part, you see the vision. You see how this team, the blueprint to winning games. And I think it's a credit to Dan that you're 1-6, and they fought back now to be 5-7, and these players have not quit on him. They've continued to play hard. And yes, most teams in the NFL play hard, but also it's very easy for players to quit on a head coach. And you're seeing that, in my opinion, over in Denver with Nathaniel Hackett offensively. So, again, got to give as much credit as possible to Dan Campbell. He's gotten these guys ready, game planning week in and week out. And from a head coaching perspective, he's the CEO. He's in charge of his coordinators, whether you like it or not. And
he gets
Aaron
credit
Glenn,
for them when they do good.
Yes.
And he gets the blame when they do bad.
And
it's that
coordinators,
simple.
they've put on hell of a performances over the last 5 weeks, so deserves credit there.
I thought Ben Johnson was a fraud after Dallas. Isn't that what I was told? I thought Ben Johnson was a fraud and AG was on the hot seat.
New England,
That's
told.
what I was told.
They went for it on 4th and 9 when it was a 6-point game.
I was told Ben Johnson had no idea
and
how to score. 9 points in 8 quarters.
Yeah.
I was told Ben Johnson doesn't know his way around the NFL. He's been figured out. Have they figured him out since? Green Bay figure him out? What about Chicago? Buffalo didn't really figure him out.
No.
Jacksonville figure him out? I didn't think so.
And again, just sprinkle some sugar on top. They've been beating their divisional opponents for the most part. I know you lost to Minnesota, but technically they had that game. KJ Osborne beats them in the last second. They beat Chicago. They beat Green Bay. You get to face those teams later in the year as well. They did beat New York.
31 points against New York, didn't they?
Yeah. It was an absolute beatdown. But again, not only has he won more games, he's beaten divisional opponents, and that deserves even more credit there too as well. If you want to win your division, you got to beat teams in your division, and he's done that so far. So, again.
Well, look what you got coming up. Home to the Vikings.
Yeah.
Road to the Jets. On the road to Carolina. Home to the Bears. On the road at Lambeau. Those are your final 5 games of the season. And if I'm honest with you, you could sell me on 4-1.
I'll say 3-2.
Today, you could sell me on 4-1. I would buy 3-2.
3-2. That would put them at 8-9.
I would buy 3-2, and I think 8-9 is very realistic.
Yeah.
4-1 you could sell me on, but you're going to either have to win against Minnesota, which, again, in theory is possible. You played them very well early on in the year. Or you're going to have to go on the road in Lambeau and win. That's what you're going to have to sell me on. But I think 3-2 very feasible. Very feasible, but I also think there is a dark turn to this. And I'm not trying to be Mr. Negative this morning. I'm really trying to help you guys a little bit. If you do lose to Minnesota, which, again, there is no shame in losing to the best team in your division, but If you do lose that game, the Jets are no pushover. They just went toe-to-toe over the weekend with a very good football team. The Jets are no joke with White at quarterback. Then Carolina, very doable. I think you should be able to handle the Bears much more than you did last time. And then on the road in Lambeau, that's the key. Is it Jordan Love starting that game? That's where this puzzle all fits together. Will they shut down Aaron Rodgers, or do the Packers try to win out and go 9-8? Who knows? Who knows? They got 4 games left.
And
the Packers.
The biggest test, too, is not only through the last 5 games. You have 2 home games, but you also have 3 road games. So it's a good test for this team. You got to go to New York. You got to go to Carolina. You got to go to Green Bay. So good test for Dan. That was the biggest criticism of Dan heading into this year. He strung off a couple of those road wins. You beat Chicago on the road. You beat New York on the road. We'll see what he can do down the stretch, but I'm confident. I think 3-2 is realistic, and that'll put him at 8-9, exactly where I predicted him before the season. So
all right,
still plenty to be optimistic about.
Let's take a quick pause. When we get back, Ben Johnson continues to work his magic. What will the Lions have to do in the offseason to keep this guy?
A lot.
And I don't think he leaves, so I'll save it for the segment.
Okay.
I don't think he leaves 1 year off of being an OC. I still think there's a lot to learn, and I hope we all, as individuals, understand just because you are an exceptional offensive or defensive coordinator, that does not mean you equate to being a successful head coach, and vice versa. Just because you may be a decent or a good head coach does not mean you translate to being a coordinator very well, right?
Right.
So we have to consider these things. We'll have that conversation in just a bit, but before we do, I got to tell you about where you need to go after work, before work, whatever your day may hold for you. That's Planet Fitness. Sign up today, $10 a month. Your fitness is essential. Visit them in club at a local Planet Fitness near you, or visit them at planetfitness.com to sign up today.
Love Woodward Sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on Shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Beverly Hills Golf, Woodward Golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids, all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today.
At work and at home, we're there with smarter security solutions. Featuring complete automation with customized alerts and more. For over 90 years, we've been the company that's been counted on to protect what matters most, all with personalized service and care. Right now, for a limited time, receive a free video device plus free installation with a new home system. Guardian Alarm. We protect Michigan.
3 NBA championships. Detroit fans were there. 11 Stanley Cups. Detroit fans were there. 4 World Series wins. Detroit fans were there. And that one Lions playoff win in 1991. Yeah, Detroit fans were there. Woodward Sports, where the fans are.
At Alta, uptime matters. Alta Equipment has everything you need to get the job done. Have a big project coming up? Well, Alta Rent has you covered. Call them today, 844-GO-TO-ALTA. That's 844-GO-TO-ALTA today.
All right, we are back here on the Morning Woodward Show live. WoodwardSports.com. Thank you to everybody joining us this morning. The Lions an impressive 40-14 win.
Yes.
Jeff, Ben Johnson, how do you keep him? And we need to understand this life cycle of the NFL. When you have a coordinator and people want him, they typically get him. 1 of 32 jobs. The only defense I would say is they can pay him more. They can give him a new contract. But I don't think he walks away from this roster with what he can prove unless he's getting a situation maybe like the Chargers job, right? Ben Johnson is in a unique position. That's why I think he stays, is depending on who's fired at the end of the year. I don't think he wants to go to Houston. I don't think he'd want to go to, let's see, some other situations that will likely get rid of their coach.
Carolina.
Carolina, I don't think he goes there. The Colts, I don't think he'll go there. So Ben is in a unique spot where, you know, if the Chargers were to get rid of Brandon Staley, let's say, at the end of the year, that would be the job where I'd say,
here we go.
That's one I wouldn't blame him for taking.
No,
but
no.
If it isn't available, I don't think there's a job currently that I think or project to be available that he would jump all over. I think for him, he'd rather come back to an offense that he has dialed in.
Yes.
A quarterback he's on the same page with, a very good offensive line, good running backs, very good receivers, and a defense that will improve. I think Ben, regardless of if you pay him or not, which would be the smart thing to do, by the way, will likely stay at the end of the year. Fair? Or do you think he goes?
No,
I don't.
No, I think it's fair, especially the opportunity he has in Detroit, the rapport he has with Jared Goff, how comfortable he's been this year. He has another season to build on that and put more on his resume. I think he'll stay. But to your point, Ben Johnson's a hot commodity. If you look at what teams look for in a head coach, and he's definitely going to get interviews. I don't deny that. It just depends on what job's available because Ben Johnson fits the mold. Young, innovative, offensive coordinator. He's a good communicator. Players like him. It's kind of like Kevin O'Connell when he went to Minnesota. That was the biggest thing, coming from that Sean McVay tree. I do think Ben Johnson's going to get plenty of looks. And yeah, the Lions are probably going to pay him more. But don't sleep on Ben Johnson because teams – look at Mike McDaniel in Miami, right? These teams are going after, and Mike McDaniel, seeing him have a job, by the way, and Mike McDaniel, he just doesn't fit the mold as a head coach, but he just works because of his personality, his relationship with players, his play calling. But if you watch Mike McDaniel clips, you're like, how is this guy a head coach? But he is, and he's winning games. I certainly think Ben Johnson will get an opportunity. It's just a matter of when. Is it this season? Is it next season? If the Lions get a young quarterback for the future and a Bryce Young or even next year, that is enticing for Ben. You have that comfortability. He's been in Detroit. He has a relationship with Dan Campbell. But I'm telling you right now, Ben Johnson's going to get looked at. He's going to get interviewed. And I know Ben, in any interview he goes into, he's going to kill it. Any owner, any general manager is going to love Ben Johnson. And that does worry me as someone who, obviously, we talk about the Lions every single day. That is your hot commodity. That is your best coordinator. He's been your best all year. Again, there's been performances you can question, but you could do that with Aaron Glenn. You could do that with Dan Campbell. But from Ben Johnson's perspective, that is what teams are looking for in a head coach. He checks all those boxes, and especially if you have a team with a veteran quarterback or a young rookie quarterback, a guy like Ben Johnson is what you're going to want. Someone who can build an offense around their current quarterback. So it just depends on the field. But I'm with you. If LA calls, and you have Justin Herbert, how does Ben say no to that? Especially how the organization is. I know you look at the organization because Ben Johnson obviously has tons of ties. He grew up in South Carolina. He went to AC Reynolds High School in North Carolina, played quarterback at North Carolina University. And certainly if the Carolina Panthers call, I think he'll interview. But it is a bad situation. So, again, Ben's not going to take a job. That's a bad situation.
That's the key.
He has all the leverage here. So, it just
example,
depends.
Easy said Mike McDaniel got hired after 1 year. Yes, my friend. Well, the Miami job was available. And to an offensive coordinator, I see Tua Tagovailoa, I see Jalen Waddle.
Right.
And then they get there and they go and trade for Tyreek Hill, right? It makes sense. If I'm Ben Johnson, I'm observing the open field. I don't want to go coach Russell Wilson. He looks like a scrub. The only job, if it became available, that I would consider right now is the Chargers. I wouldn't even want to go coach Kyler Murray. I think the solution in Arizona right now, if they move off Kingsbury, is you got to go out and get a veteran coach.
Yeah, I would agree with
Doug Peterson, who's already taken, obviously, but someone with stature, with previous coaching history.
Hold people accountable.
To hold people accountable.
Yes.
That's what you need in Arizona more so than anything because there is no culture there, right?
Right.
And, again, I don't think Kingsbury doesn't believe in Kyler, right? This isn't the Tua situation where the coach didn't want him. They were going to trade him. Deshaun Watson, oh my goodness. So for Ben Johnson, we need to see who gets fired. And if there are really good jobs available with very good quarterbacks in the weights,
don't tell me Ben won't get looked at.
Not only will he get looked at, he would be naive not to interview and consider the Chargers job.
Yes.
So that's where I'm at with Ben. I want to switch up a little bit, go to the defensive side of the ball. Aiden Hutchinson continues to just prove everybody wrong and right, depending on what side of the aisle you are. James Houston can't stop getting sacks. I'm not sure what the hell the deal is there.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable. He's been exceptional. Who would have thought? John Kaminsky had a good game. That freaking club he's wearing on his hand.
Benito Jones coming in for bugs. He got to have a sack.
Benito Jones had a game. You had Ali McNeil, a good game.
Yeah.
I thought the secondary played good. I didn't think they were very good. A lot of drops from Jacksonville, a lot of non-executed plays. But you know what? Jeff Okudah had a game. Will Harris had a good game. Again, good games. Nothing overly impressive, but still worth saying good. Kirby Joseph, solid.
Yeah, led the team in tackles, Kirby Joseph.
It was a good performance. Anzalone, Malcolm Rodriguez. And again, this team has just been playing so well on defense, Jeff. Everybody is contributing now. And that's a sign of a good defense.
Yeah, no question. That was talking about this team and looking at their defensive line. That's been the narrative over the last 2 weeks, too. James Houston plays limited snaps last week, 2 sacks. This week gets another sack. Again, Brad Holmes, thank you very much. Being able to being able to find talent late in the draft, especially, because that's something that Brad Holmes has been great at, really, since his tenure with the Detroit Lions, just continuing to stack talent. And Anzalone had a good game. I know he's the veteran. Malcolm Rodriguez. There's plenty of credit to go around, but specifically with this defense, looking at where they are right now and looking at where you're going in the future with draft picks and being able to add even more talent, Lions are in a good spot defensively. And Aaron Glenn, I trust that man with all the talent in the world. So add more talent to this defense, and I'm excited to see where they can go. Because I do think this defense, given next year, you add more talent, maybe you go out in free agency, you sign another linebacker, this defense is only going to improve even more. So plenty to be optimistic about, man, really.
Absolutely, and I want to key in on James Houston and his impact.
Oh.
This was somebody drafted in the later rounds by Brad Holmes. Cut originally, signed to the practice squad, never made the team. And injuries pile up, and then he finally gets to go with Harris going down, right? He took advantage of it against Buffalo, 2 sacks. And they get 10 days off, and he's back in the lineup, and you're like, all right, let's see how James Houston does. Another sack. 3 sacks in 2 games. He has more sacks than Trayvon Walker and Kayvon Thibodeau. It's funny.
In 2 games,
but what the hell? That is just exceptional
crazy.
production. It's not.
And again, Aaron Glenn putting those guys in the best position to succeed. So coaching deserves a lot of credit as well. But you're right, James Houston, baby. Last 2 weeks has more sacks than the people you mentioned.
And I'm glad we're talking about the defense this morning, because yesterday, again, was another example of why if you are able to surround Jared Goff,
yes,
and put him in positions to win, forget that you can win games. You now can identify one side of the ball that needs help. You know it does. We all agree, defense.
Mm-hmm.
I am more confident now than ever that 3 of the first 4 picks in the NFL draft this year will be on defense. It would not surprise me if they went running back in the later second round.
Yes.
If they went guard in the second round, it wouldn't surprise me. But defense is the answer. At pick 3 or wherever it ends up, at pick 13, 15, 17, wherever it ends up, that will be both of them will be defense, likely on the interior, likely in the secondary. Fair?
Yep, fair. It'll be 80% defense this draft, which is expected, which is needed. And this team, think about where they would be early in the year if they had more talent defensively. They'd have even more wins. So again, yeah, defense. That's the focal point this offseason. Give Jared a good defense. Continue to give him weapons. Good coaching. This team's going to continue to win games. No question about it.
Oh, I'm feeling great. Let me just give me a second. Good morning. You sleep good last night?
I did.
I slept like a fucking baby. Picked up my hookah bright and early yesterday.
Oh, you were feeling it.
I was feeling it. Man.
You tell
I've
me
been
you
waiting
didn't
to
watch.
smoke this thing since 4 o'clock yesterday.
You tell me you didn't watch cricket this morning? What
Fish,
the hell's wrong with
nobody's
you?
watching cricket. I'd rather get my eyes plucked out and pegged than watch cricket.
I mean, it was fantastic. How do you not?
Let's take a break. When we get back, we talked about the draft, and I told you I'm confident now more than ever that they'll likely spend their picks on defense, especially in the early rounds. But what do you do with Jared Goff after that performance? And again, I want to bring Goff's season into perspective a little bit, because you can't always expect the 270, 280, 300-yard game with no turnovers and multiple touchdowns. But he's shown the ability, and that does a lot for your draft status coming up. Before we go, I got to tell you about our good friends, our new friends, actually, over at Cousins Maine Lobster. Woodward Sports loves lobster. I love lobster. I had not only their main roll, but I tried their clam chowder soup, My goodness, to die for. Very good with those bacon tips in it. Very, very good. And what better way to get your fix than with Cousins Maine Lobster? Visit them at cousinsmainelobster.com. Find out where their food truck is. And look, it's a Monday. Go spoil the office. Go get some lobster. Treat the office. Have a good lunch. Check them out. Visit the website. Find the truck. And go enjoy yourself a beautiful lunch on a Monday morning.
It's back. Year 3 of Woodward Sports Stuff-A Studio is here. The past 2 years, we've collected new unwrapped toys and stuffed our studio so we could hardly fit in it. This year, we're doing it even bigger. Join Woodward Sports and our whole family December 19th to the 23rd as we stuff our studio. While you're out shopping or just sitting on your couch ordering presents, make sure you grab one extra and drop it off at our studio, 15 Mile in Woodward in Birmingham. We'll be collecting toys around the clock to make sure every child in Mott's Children's Hospital feels the warmth of the holiday season. It's the time of year to do for others. Help us stuff our studio. Special thanks to all the wonderful elves at Meyer and Guardian Alarm for keeping the toys safe. Stuff-A Studio 2022 with Woodward Sports.
For a limited time only, all new burgers and loaded fries at Big Boy. It's not a Slim Jim, it's the Big Jim. The chili cheese is such a tease. Guess what else is new? The bacon blue. How about upgrading those fries? Chili cheese fries, baked potato fries, nacho fries. What will it be? Satisfy those taste buds at Big Boy.
My name is Lee. I've lost 35 pounds on the Custom Health Center program. So the 3 biggest benefits that I've gotten from this program has been, I'm not snoring anymore, I have a lot of energy, it's great, and oh, by the way, look at this. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding.
Call us at 844-789-THIN or visit CustomHealthCenters.com for a free consultation and get started for as little as $5 a day.
We are the network for Detroit by Detroiters. Welcome to the Woodward Sports Network.
All right, the official meat supplier of the Woodward Sports Network. Call 248-682-COWS. That's 248-682-COWS. Catering and bulk special orders are our specialty over at the butchery. Sandwiches to die for, Wagyu meats, and artisan bread, all inspired by the legendary Chef Dave. Check out the butchery. Okay. Here's where I'm at. What do you do with Jared Goff? I think it's a question for everybody. So we're going to throw up a poll in the chat. Do you want to see the Lions spend a day 1 pick? Let's say day 1 or day 2 pick on a quarterback. That's the question. I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no now because you have seen the formula for success with this quarterback. Play average to good defense, and you play call the way they have been over the last 5 weeks, you're going to be a lot of football teams, not just the bad ones, but even the good ones. And you almost did it against Buffalo. You can win with Jared Goff. We had this conversation before the season started. We had the conversation when the season started and they were 1-3. You can win with him. He won't be the problem most weeks. Having said that, he won't be the solution most weeks either, right? So it takes quality coaching. It takes good defense, good offense. It takes a whole team. And that's okay. You can win like that in the NFL. You can win division titles like that in the NFL. Hell, you can win playoff games in the NFL. You can host playoff games in the NFL with these types of quarterbacks. That is not the issue here. So now my honest question to all of you is, do you draft a quarterback? Day 1 or day 2? Alex, it's a yes or no question. Jackass.
No, it's not.
Yes,
You're
it is.
wrong.
Should the Lions
I'm
draft
right.
a quarterback on day 1 or 2, Fish? Shut the hell up. Stupid ass.
Go South Korea.
Go watch cricket.
I will, and I should be doing that right now, but I'm sitting with you.
So I have a different perspective on this because as much as I agree with people that taking a Jalen Carter or, dare I say, if you were able to, Will Anderson would be the best case scenario, if Bryce Young's there, that's the only quarterback I'd be willing to take, and for a couple reasons. Now, you talk about Goff, and yes, you can win with Goff, but you don't even have to get rid of Goff immediately. You can have Bryce Young sit behind Goff, and on top of that, with a rookie, having a quarterback like a Bryce Young, or even getting one of the better quarterbacks on a rookie contract, the value of that, it's the most valuable thing in the NFL. You can surround talent. You're going to have more cap space freed up, but I do understand where people are coming from. If you want to keep Jared, you take defensive players. I get all that. But you're going to eventually have to address the quarterback situation. Eventually. You can't keep extending Jared Goff, paying him $30 million per year, unless you want to do that. Personally, I would not. I want to find your next franchise quarterback. You don't expect the Lions next year or the following year to be picking top 5 in the NFL draft. But we've seen the San Francisco 49ers do it. They had the season where they had all those injuries. They were able to trade up and get their quarterback, Trey Lance, which obviously looking back was a bad decision, and they gave up a lot for it. But the Lions are going to have to eventually address that. I mean, there's no question. In my opinion, and I've talked to Ryan Armani about this, and he made this point, a rebuild doesn't truly happen until you take your quarterback. But the question is, and the trade-off of that is, if you take a rookie quarterback, you have all this momentum with Jared. You have all this momentum with how the team's performing. Would you be willing to risk that with a rookie quarterback? And that's what keeps me a little at bay looking at it like that, because, again, no, you don't. If you add defense to this team, looking how Jared's performing, that is the ideal scenario for next year. You want Jared next year to contend for the NFC North. But my God, Adam, you got to eventually address it eventually. And if you have a guy like Bryce Young available, to me that's the best quarterback this year, I would take him. I don't want Will Levis. I don't want C.J. Stroud. I don't want an Anthony Richardson. I'll pass on all those guys. Bryce Young would be the only quarterback I'd be willing to take. But again, I wouldn't be mad if you went all defense either. So to me, it's
Stroud's
a win-win.
available at 3.
No, hell no. I'm not taking
Bryce
Stroud.
Young's available at 3?
Yes, Bryce Young's the only quarterback.
All right, new
I'd be
poll
willing
in
to
the
take.
question. Or excuse me, new poll in the chat. I'm sorry, Alex. I got to make you work today. New poll in the chat. The draft is today. Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, or neither. Those are your options. And neither, I'd assume you want Will Anderson or Jalen Carter, depending if they're available. But if Bryce Young or C.J. Stroud were available at 3, which one would you take? Or are you just not taking a quarterback? That's what I want to know from all of you in the WoodwardSports.com chat. That's what I want to know. If Young is there at 3, though, I think I'm more willing to have the conversation about taking a quarterback. The problem is what rips me apart inside is even if Young is there, even if Stroud is there, I'm staring down the barrel of likely Will Anderson, but more likely Jalen Carter. And boy, having a Jalen Carter on the interior, you've seen what it's done for Kansas City.
Yes.
You've seen what it's done for the Rams. You've seen what it's done now this year for the Eagles. It is so vital to have control of the interior on this defensive front. It is so important. And it's tough for me to not get a Jalen Carter with that pick. But if Bryce Young is available, boy, I'm going to be pulling my hair leading up to the draft. That's going to be a tough one.
I'll ask you, where do you expect the Lions to be picking next year? Probably closer to 20.
Mid-teens,
closer to
early
20.
20s.
And the only quarterback you'd argue would be Caleb Williams. You're not getting Caleb Williams. That's off the table. You're not doing it. You're not going to be able to trade up that far to get him. So when do you address that? And are you comfortable paying Jared Goff $30 million? And yes, build this team out. Build the defense out. Well, I'll tell you this. If you have Bryce Young on a rookie quarterback contract, you can build this defense. You'll have plenty of more money available. And don't tell me you can't find talent. And Jalen Carter and Will Anderson are the two exceptions, because I'm with you guys. If you want to take those two over Bryce, I'm fine with that. I'm not going to sit here and argue with you. But you got to address it eventually. And if you take Bryce Young, you check that box. You don't have to play him right away. You still have Jared Goff. You can have a Kansas City situation where you could sit Bryce Young and you could continue to build this defense. You could sign free agents. And when you eventually get rid of Goff, it clears up even more cap space. So there's a lot of positives from both sides. But if Will Anderson and Jalen Carter are both there, Adam, I can see why you're looking at it like, you got to take those players. I can't argue that.
Will Anderson, Jalen Carter, that's the pick for me right now.
Yes.
But again, on draft day, if somehow, some way it is Bryce Young available, I'm sitting down with my team and I'm having the conversation, guys, we're not going to be able to take a quarterback next year this early.
No, you're
and
not.
If we
you're
are,
not taking one. Yeah.
It'll come at the result of the team either being very bad, which none of us expect, or B, you really trading the farm to get him.
And you don't have 2 first-round picks like you do this year to those assets. You don't have them. Unless you want to trade future first.
Can you find somebody as productive as a Jalen Carter or Will Anderson at pick 13, 15, 17? Historically, in the first round, you can. That is a fact. So I'm having a deep, honest conversation with my team, and if we believe, and I'm speaking we as in if I'm Brad Holmes and I'm up there in Allen Park, I'm in the war room, if we in the building believe this is the future, you take them. I'm sorry. You don't pass on franchise quarterbacks. You just don't. You just don't. I have a tough time. Now, if it's Stroud, I'm taking the D tackle. I'm going Jalen Carter.
Yeah, no question.
I'm taking Will Anderson, whoever's available between the two. That's where I'm going. And I'm very curious. Let's go to the poll. Everybody believes. 43% of you say Young. 4% of you say Stroud. 53 neither. Okay, so we're on the same page. So what all of you are telling me in the chat right now is that you're like me. If Bryce Young falls to 3 today, you have to have an honest, very difficult conversation with yourself. And even if you still go with Carter, that doesn't mean it's a bad move. But it's going to make you think. I think if Stroud's available, you're going Jalen Carter no matter what. You're going Will Anderson no matter what. I think that's the key difference here. If Young is available, that puts a lot of pressure on. Do we take him, sit him a year?
And this is where the Lions stand right now. The current 2023 NFL draft, you have Houston at 1. They're taking a quarterback.
Yep.
Whether it could be very well Bryce Young, number 1. But let's just say it's C.J. Stroud. Number 2, Chicago, they're taking the best defensive player. They're probably taking Will Anderson. Number 3, Seattle, they have the pick via the Denver Broncos. We'll see where Denver ends up. But as of right now, they're probably taking a quarterback. So that puts you at 4, and you have Will Levis or Jalen Carter, and that question is easy to me. That's easy.
Will Levis should not be a top 10 pick.
I'm with you there. But it makes the decision a lot easier. You're going Jalen Carter. You're going Miles Murphy. But the scenario you pitched was if Bryce is there. And I got to see who else is there. That's really the conversation.
Well, let's not forget.
It's hard to pass on
one
a
very
franchise
important thing.
quarterback. It's hard.
Let's say I give you the scenario. You take Young at 3. And let's say your pick is 17. You can easily move into the top 10. And it won't cost you an arm and a leg for a Miles Murphy. Carter drops, I doubt it.
No, he won't.
You can easily move in still. So I want to put that on your minds. But let's take a break. When we get back, our takeaways from what was an exceptional weekend of sports, especially in the state of Michigan. Michigan winning the Big Ten, the Lions pounding the Jaguars. We'll get to all that and more. Final takeaways coming up in just a bit. But before we do, Jeff, our good friends over at the Sports Marketing Agency.
The Sports Marketing Agency helps spread awareness about mental health and substance abuse. Their new podcast, This is the S Word, helps fight the stigma about seeking help. If you or someone you know is struggling, tell them or yourself to head to thesportsma.com for more information.
Love Woodward Sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on Shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Beverly Hills Golf, Woodward Golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today.
Introducing the Planet Fitness Guide to getting that post-workout glow. Step 1. What's your why? More epic energy? Better sleep? Blow off steam? Step 2. Join Planet Fitness for just $10 a month and get moving in our clean and spacious clubs. Step 3. Bask in that post-workout glow. Join Planet Fitness today for just $10 a month.
Join today at any of the 50-plus Detroit area locations.
We don't like to brag that we are the toughest sports network in Detroit, but we do have a guy named Darren McCarty on our side.
Lemieux and McCarty, who've had a good knockdown drag up. There they go, right on the whistle. They were talking to one another.
Woodward Sports.
Jeff Iafrate here. Let me tell you about our friends at the Fulling Warehouse in Hamtramck, because it is the home of the original football bowling game. 2 to play for $12, the unlimited open play. Or you could pay $120 for a lane reservation for up to 10 people. $2 mystery beer machine, full bar. Check it all out. FullingWarehouse.com.
All right. We are back live here at Feldman Chevrolet in Novi. WoodwardSports.com. I don't want to call this Monday Overreactions, but Jeff, I want the ultimate takeaway from this weekend. Lions, Michigan.
Yep.
Give me the one takeaway that you have watching both teams play. And if I was to give you mine on Michigan, and I'll let you start with Lions. If I were to give you mine on Michigan, finally. That's it. Finally. Because Jim Harbaugh, that's what he was brought to do. And to see him finally do it, beat Ohio State to back-to-back years, back-to-back Big Ten championships, a 23-1 record in the regular season the last 2 years. It brings me joy because you guys know I'm a nerd for this, and maybe it's my downfall is I love seeing Michigan at the top. I love seeing Michigan relevant in this landscape of college football. I think it's good for the sport. The ratings tell you it. Every metric you can measure tells you that Michigan being good is good for college football. And that makes me happy.
Right.
That's a great thing for me. So for me, with Jim Harbaugh, finally they've reached the pinnacle. And they have a lot of work to do. They still got to beat TCU. They still have to play, hopefully, in a national championship game. But, Jeff, when I mean pinnacle and they've arrived, that means they not only they have arrived, but, hey, remember all those years ago you hired Jim, Sean Gary, Tom Brady, the top recruiting classes, the top recruits, all this stuff? It finally paid dividends. And I'm happy for him. I really am.
Yeah, I think the narrative for Michigan would be they finally arrived. They're finally in the discussion of winning a national championship. They're finally looking at the field of college football, and we've had this discussion multiple times, is last year was Georgia, and then there's a big drop-off. In terms of talent, in terms of depth, this year it's different. Michigan's in that conversation, what they have talent-wise, and for Jim to be in this position, to win the Big Ten back-to-back years, to beat Ohio State back-to-back years, be undefeated this year, win 13 games in a row, and on top of that, really, if you look at the field and you look at Georgia's favored, and they're going to be favored in every game they play. Whether they beat Ohio State, then they play Michigan, or they play TCU, they're going to be favored in every game. But I don't think it'll be as big of a number as you'd expect against Michigan. I think Michigan's finally, and I'm glad you put it that way, they finally have entered this conversation of legitimate national championship contenders, and you still got J.J. McCarthy for one more year, possibly 2 years if he comes back. So, again, what this means for recruiting, what this means for just the narrative behind Michigan and Jim Harbaugh, it's been huge. So what I would say is my overreaction is they've arrived. I would say they arrived. And now if they win a national championship, you could really make that argument. But just to be in this position, even if they beat TCU to win a playoff game, they're making strides. They're taking those strides necessary, and Michigan's going to be in this conversation, I think, for a long time. They're really carving their path, carving their way out, and Michigan this year has really taken that next step. So they've finally arrived would be my overreaction for Michigan.
I'm with you, and I want to move to the Lions now. This is where things get a little tricky for me, Jeff.
Mm-hmm.
I touched on it at 9 o'clock, State of the Union. The Lions are on track. They have brought me back to where I was before the season, which was optimistic for a multitude of reasons. The GM, I thought the head coach, some of the leadership moves he made last year were endearing to me a little bit. Obviously, he needed to improve as a coach. You didn't see that the first 7 games of the year.
Right.
But the last 5, he has improved. And I can't just be a critic to you. I'm not doing my job if I'm doing that. If I'm only going to talk about Dan Campbell when he loses, I shouldn't be up here. So these last 5 games have gone a long way with me. He's not out of the water. He's not the best coach. They're 5-7 still. And he is responsible for 1-6 as he is 4 of the last 5. He gets the credit. And my takeaway is, finally, thank you. Quality wins, consistent play, winning the turnover battle.
Right.
Not committing penalties, efficient on offense. You didn't punt yesterday. It's good. It's a good spot to be in on a Monday morning. I'll say that.
Yeah. No, and my overreaction would be this Lions team, the future is unbelievably bright. And not just from looking at how they performed the last 5 weeks, but looking at the assets they have in the draft, the money they have available, what Brad Holmes has been able to do, reconstructing this roster, their future and what they're going to be able to do. And look at how they've played. They're 4-1 over the last 5 games, and there's still plenty of holes on this team. Plenty of holes. Offensively, less, obviously, than defensively. But going into this draft, into free agency, there's plenty to look forward to for the Lions. They're going to add more talent. Defensively, you still have plenty of optimism moving forward. And that would be my takeaway for the Detroit Lions is they have a competent organization over the last 2 years with Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell. They've done things the right way. And yes, wins, that was the thing we were waiting on with Dan Campbell, but they've done it over the last 5 weeks. I know they started 1-6, but even with the youth this team has, they've responded, they've played well. And to be 4-1 over the last 5 weeks, have 2 road wins, and beat some pretty good football teams, that deserves credit. So the Lions, they're finally here. It took some time, but 4-1, you'll take that.
Go Lions.
Go Lions, baby.
I love it. I love it. Look, this is going to be very interesting. Fish, by the way.
Yeah?
Who's your favorite to win the World Cup?
Well, I did 3 brackets, and I had Brazil in 2 and Spain in the other.
Okay, very interesting.
Because I just didn't trust France because they have like 55 players out, but France look pretty damn good right now.
Fair enough. I believe Neymar returns for
He is going to play today. Bold upset, pick South Korea today.
I would be so disappointed if South Korea won. But regardless,
I mean, something just shows me
it's
South
mailbag
Korea
time.
today. Oh, thanks for cutting me off.
Sorry, buddy. It's mailbag time. We got to get to the people. Everybody in the WoodwardSports.com chat, drop your questions in the chat. Jeff and I will answer all of your questions coming up in just a bit. But before we go, I got to tell you where Jeff needs to go to get his haircut. This boy, you need a haircut. You need to get lined up, dude.
Oh, don't
Lady
worry.
Jane's Haircuts for Men, open 10 to 8, 7 days a week, walk in anytime. No appointment necessary. Come to Lady Jane's for your chance for a lifetime opportunity to win a down payment for the home of your dreams up to $200,000. Lady Jane's, open 7 days a week, walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome.
It's back. Year 3 of Woodward Sports Stuff-A Studio is here. The past 2 years, we've collected new unwrapped toys and stuffed our studio so we could hardly fit in it. This year, we're doing it even bigger. Join Woodward Sports and our whole family December 19th to the 23rd as we stuff our studio. While you're out shopping or just sitting on your couch ordering presents, make sure you grab one extra and drop it off at our studio, 15 Mile in Woodward in Birmingham. We'll be collecting toys around the clock to make sure every child in Mott's Children's Hospital feels the warmth of the holiday season. It's the time of year to do for others. Help us stuff our studio. Special thanks to all the wonderful elves at Meyer and Guardian Alarm for keeping the toys safe. Stuff-A Studio 2022 with Woodward Sports.
Hey, it's Sean Jordan from the Sports Marketing Agency, and SMA wouldn't be who we are without our amazing partners.
Thank you so much, Sean. You know, at Detroit Wayne, we want to serve as a resource for you and your families. We offer mental health services, substance use disorder services throughout our communities, and we want to be that source and resource within the community.
If you or a loved one are suffering from a mental health or substance abuse issue, please don't hesitate to call 1-800-241-4949.
You don't have to go to the beach, man. You don't have to get your butt crack full of sand. You just need a little chili peppers, man, to get that glowing beach chili peppers tan. Woo!
With 26 locations in the Metro Detroit area and more coming, Chili Peppers Tanning is where you'll find the cleanest salons in the D. Join the Pepper Club for the best deals on unlimited tanning. Head to chilipepperstanning.com.
You just need a little chili peppers, man.
The only sports network in Detroit that starts with a W. You know, because we win. Woodward Sports, Detroit's winning sports network.
All right, let me tell you about my good friend Michael Phillips. Whether you're looking to buy or sell your home, Michael Phillips and his team are your go-to solution. Call 313-403-0011. That's 313-403-0011. Let Michael Phillips help you navigate in what has been such an unpredictable market. All right, Jeff, mailbag time. Let's start with some questions, and we'll go to D. Smitty. At this point, what would it take for Brad Holmes to win GM of the Year? Wins.
Yeah, that's it.
When the Lions win a division, if they ever do, under his tenure, that's when he gets GM of the Year. You don't get GM of the Year for building a team but not winning. The only way you get GM of the Year is by drafting quality players, them succeeding, and your team succeeding. So it's really straightforward for me, Jeff. Let's see what else we got here. How do you guys feel about Coach Prime leaving Jackson State? He really turned JSU around and put the lights on HBCUs. Yeah, I don't have a problem with it. I'm not involved in the community at all to understand the impact. What I do know is Deion Sanders has done more for that community and HBCU than anybody commenting on it can say.
Yeah.
So I don't have a problem with it. Colorado, interesting decision. I would have liked to seen Auburn or Florida State throw money at him, but
Buffalo.
That's a whole different conversation. He's going to take his son to Colorado. I think they'll have instant success in a week.
And he'll take players from Jackson State.
There's going to be a lot of transfers. You're going to see transfers from the conference who want to come play for Prime instead of their current coaches. So Colorado's going to be good next year. Wouldn't surprise me if they're bowl eligible.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking 6-6 or 7-5 for Deion year one.
Yeah, and Deion even said, too, when he was talking to his team, addressing them, he said, you either get, in coaching, you either get elevated or you get terminated. And he took an opportunity to be elevated. So
and good for him. And his players should know that in life, too.
Yeah.
Not just coaching. In life, you are not held to one place for the rest of your life.
Right.
Seek growth. Seek a quality of life. It's okay. Prime has nothing to prove to anybody. So, yeah, I don't have an issue with it at all.
Yeah.
After Michigan got beat last year like they did against, Georgia, but not this year, they're coming to take it all. Adham, Jeff, am I wrong to say that 14-0 TCU loses? No, you're not. I think you guys beat TCU. I think Michigan handled TCU in an impressive win. And then we'll see whether it's Georgia or Ohio State. We'll have to wait and see, Jeff.
John Parker asked Mailbag, Jeff, if Will Anderson and Jalen Carter are available and the Lions have the Rams pick, who do you take? That's a tough one.
That hurts me.
I don't think both will be available, but let's say hypothetically they are.
I take Will.
Yeah. I mean,
take Will.
He's the best outside linebacker prospects. They say since Von Miller. So, but did Jalen Carter though pair him with Aleem McNeil? What he would do on the interior and what he would do in benefit for Aiden? I mean, there's so much. They're both great players. I would probably lean Will Anderson, but you can't go wrong with either. You can't.
Did you guys see Jeff Okudah getting cooked, but Zay Jones just dropped? Laughed my ass off. We're not going to talk about that. Do you think Jaron Hill could be the answer for quarterback? No. Adam and Jeff, re-sign Jamal or Chark? Jamal, but on a very team-friendly deal. I'm not interested in paying him market value for a goal line back. I'm sorry. Just not doing it.
Well,
he wants to get a pay raise and go somewhere else.
And there's a lot of things Jamal brings, right? He takes care of the football.
Leadership.
He's healthy. Leadership. He's consistent. So, yes, I would love to see Jamal back in Detroit.
All right. Jeff, Red Wings going to make the playoffs?
Yeah, right now they're in the wild card spot. They just, they had a good win yesterday. So, yeah, I would say so. I think they make the wild card spot this year. Free agency additions have been really proven everything in the right direction.
Czech says, what would it take to extend Goff? Are you ready for this answer? Nothing. You don't have to make that decision for another 2 seasons.
You don't. Yeah. You can wait on that.
There's no reason to. Adam, are you going to finally admit Lincoln Riley is overrated? If winning 11 games every year is overrated, sign me up.
Yeah, I'm not really
sign
on
me
that.
up. I want to be overrated. Can I win 11 games every year? Overrated. You guys are funny. Guys, if Michigan takes the L versus TCU, the season would be a failure, right? Question mark. I would say it is because the playoff field isn't as tough as the past. They have one of the top 3 rosters. I would agree, Jesse.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say failure. This is how I think. Maybe for you guys. I don't think failure because every year my objective would be to win the Big Ten. If I can win the Big Ten, represent my division, and win it, that's a successful season for me. Having said that, they're better than TCU. And if they lose, not only would it be deemed a failure,
you got to see the context.
It would
too,
be very disappointing.
On how they
regardless, if they lost in double overtime, I don't care. Michigan cannot lose to TCU.
Yeah.
They cannot. I agree with Jesse on that. Would you trade the Rams pick for Lamar Jackson, Jeff?
No.
Wasim, shut the hell up.
No,
Aren't you
not.
at work? Go clean people's mouths. What are you doing?
Stop telling people to shut up. You do
Lamar
your
Jackson. He probably just tore his PCL.
Yeah,
I'm
gonna pass on
not paying
Lamar
$50 million a year and giving up a top draft.
Hey, you better
No.
watch out because everyone's happy that Lamar liked the Lions post yesterday.
Good, they can all jerk it for all I care.
well,
You're not
they
getting Lamar
are.
Jackson.
Nick Burke says, Jeff, thoughts on Killian looking like Steph at the end of the Mavs game? Yeah, I mean, Killian Hayes, the performances he's been able to string together, I think he deserves a ton of credit. Killian Hayes, man, for everyone, a guy who's everyone counted out and everyone was saying, get him off this team. He's a bust. He's been playing well, and he's taken on more of that offensive and defensive burden, and he's he's handled it excellent. So Killian Hayes deserves a ton of credit and praise. He really does.
The guy that's done everything asks, is there a reason we're not playing Houston more when he's been so productive on the few snaps he's had? Yeah, that's why.
Yeah, that's why he's playing more.
He's fresh. He's in the rotation. He's not a 3-down lineman yet. He's not that developed. So, yes, when he's in, it's an obvious passing down situations, and he's taking advantage of it. I don't really have a problem with how they're using him. Jeff and Adam, will the Detroit Tigers sign a top-tier infield addition this offseason? I don't know. I don't want to talk about the Tigers right now.
You're having a good morning.
I don't want to talk about the Tigers right now. What's going on here?
I hope so. To answer
DJ
your question.
Ugalele.
Uh-oh. Transferring?
Transfer portal.
Yeah, we expected that. You got benched immediately for Club Nick.
Oh, good. Adam, are you going to admit Jack and I were right about USC? About how soft? You were right about how soft they were going to be, yes. But I was right about how successful they were going to be. I'm going to take my success over the fact that, yes, they're soft year one under Lincoln Riley. I'll live with it. 11-2. I have no problem with it at all. Do you guys think we should draft Will Levis, auto trader? Delete your account and never ask that question again. What are your thoughts, says Southpaw Slabs, on someone like Dorian Thompson-Robinson late in the draft? No.
No,
I mean, as a flyer, 4th, 5th round, maybe, but if I'm drafting a quarterback, it's either in round 1 or round 3, because that's where it seems like they all hit. It's either round 1 or 3, and then you have the anomaly in the 6th round.
Well, Malik was drafted in the 3rd, so you're right about that.
Malik was a 3rd-round pick, correct?
Yeah.
He's amazing. You see him play yesterday?
Yeah, he's
amazing.
He was on fire.
Does Deion get Colorado to a 10-win season within his first 2 years? Ooh. I think he'll get close. I don't know about 10. I would say 9, though. I think he can get 9 by year 2. I do. How do you feel about McCall at quarterback in the late round? No. Let's see what else is going on. Is Adam finally ready to be patient with MCDC? He's really working me. I'll tell you that much, Nick. He's really making me work for it, so I got to give him credit. Not one quarterback at number 1 worth it this year. I don't know. I think Bryce Young is worth to being taken number 1 overall this year.
Yeah, I'm with you.
But if Stroud has a game against Georgia and they lose, Stroud might vault up. So there's still a lot to play for. That's going to be it for us here at Feldman Chevrolet. Thank you so much for having us out. As always, we are out of here. Check out Big D in an hour, 11:01. They'll be live. Thank you, buddy, for a good show. Hope you feel better.
Thank you.
Steak, fish, flannel. Westfall, sorry, buddy. I don't like you anymore. You all have a great rest of your day. Enjoy your Victory Monday. Smoke as much as I did. Your lungs will regret it. I promise you, even if you're a little bit lightheaded. It is worth it. You guys all have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you hit the like button before you go, and we're out of here.
Go watch World Cup. How do you not?